Okay, should be and simpler, but it should be a lot smoother. So yeah, so you guys probably should be pulling into that one. Let me refresh my. Let's go ahead and okay. All right. So hopefully you guys can see this guy. Looks like. Ooh, I don't think I need that anymore. So let's pull up Painting Vet Honor Part 2. Ooh, bad. We've got. I mean, it looks okay to me. So you guys tell me if it's if this is looking good, bad, or other. Let's go ahead and continue on with the painting. And yeah, we can talk about, well, let me show you guys what else I worked on real quick, right? So, like I said earlier today, I was sick. Let's see. Uh-oh. Row. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Row. Okay. Anyway, hold on. I gotta do something. Real quick. There we go. All right. No one's talking. All right. Yeah, no one's saying anything. Okay. Oh, hey, what's up, Troy? So hopefully this is better. Um, this is interesting. Uh, okay. Here's why I'm laughing. My so I have a Guild Ball tournament scheduled this Saturday, right? And uh, and my wife told me right now that she has to chaperone a back to school night Saturday night. So I was like, oh shit. Well, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess that means no Guild Ball tournament, right? I'll cancel it. We'll reschedule, do whatever we have to do, right? So we're trying to figure it out, and she on Facebook, she's joining the Guild Ball group. So it's like, oh, okay, that could be bad because then you see the activity and it. I know she's aware that I'm super super active on this kind of stuff, but I don't know. Not it's not the best thing to see all the time. You know what I mean? I think that's just gonna piss her off if I'm posting in there uh, and whatnot. So I have to proceed with caution here. Regarding the Saturday tournament, it looks like I can do the Saturday tournament, but I'll have to move up the start time, which is fine. I can totally do that. So we're gonna make it work. We're going to make it work. You're subjecting your husband to your nerdy stuff. See, same thing. Same thing. You know the struggle. You know the struggle. It's real. The struggle is real. All right. So right now we're going to work on the skin. And we're going to do the face, the facial features, and we'll do the eyes. First come out. I don't know if you know this about me, but like I happen to be fairly compartmentalized in my life. That's the best way to put it. I tend to be fairly compartmentalized. Like this is my work life, this is my hobby life, this is my family life, and I typically don't want those things to. I don't like those worlds to collide. I like to be able to keep everything nice and separate, you know, and it gives me the kind of the ability to step into and out of those worlds and keep them safe from one another. You know what I mean? If that makes sense to you. Like maybe that sounds a little hyperbolic, but that's kind of how I see it. It's like you those worlds should be safe from one another. You shouldn't have to be worried about um uh you gotta yeah, you shouldn't have to be worried about, people at work going, "Oh, so you're running a guild ball tournament on Saturday." Especially like at my work, it would be like, "Well, what's a guild ball?" And then you go, "Well, it's a miniatures game." "Well, what's a miniatures game?" "Well, that shit sounds weird." The hell's your problem? You know what I mean? So there's that. Boy, she looks pissed. So needless to say, all this stuff kind of makes me nervous when it comes down to it. It's explaining LARP to a non-LARPer. I explained LARP to my wife, and she's a drama teacher, so she got that right away what LARPing is. She still thinks it's weird, but she can at least understand it to a degree. Like she can at least see that being a drama nerd isn't that far away from being a LARPer, right? I'm an adult and I dress up like I got to dress in the dark in Goodwill and then beat people with a foam sword for fun. Do you do LARPing? Like, are you part of like SCA or anything like that? Used to. Okay. I mean, no judgment. I do think it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool, but I get worried uh, about social interactions with LARPs. There's some people that I don't know. It's like everybody kind of has their bar. Maybe I'm not ready for that, for your level of LARP in some cases. Um, I know, like, my wife and I used to love going to, like, steampunk conventions, and we still go to Ren fairs and all that kind of stuff. But we're still fairly, in this arena, we're still fairly normy, right? Like um, we're there to dress up, look cool or whatever. Um, it's for us. It's an excuse to dress up, walk around, look at other people's costumes, drink beer, and just kind of have a good time. And when people that get really really into it, like I can get that, I can get behind that, but I can't be part of that scene. You know what I mean? I'm not. I'm just not that speed. And like I said, my wife might be a drama nerd, but she's also not that speed. Okay. Um, the part that's if okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, and it's gonna sound really, really shitty. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, and it's gonna sound really shitty. So this we understand. While we understand that what I'm about to tell you is not people LARPing, it's still bore some consequences to us with regards to how we regard LARPing. Okay. So, like I said, we like to get dressed up and go to these cosplays. We go to the Ren Fair. We go to steampunk cons. We go to Ren fairs and stuff like that, right? And most of the unsolicited interaction we would get, especially, well, we'll say entirely my wife, she would get just the absolute shittiest forms of interaction with the creepiest fucking dudes you've ever seen. Like just awful, awful, like guys that are using um that use the occasion to like try to try to use like really smarmy, shitty pickup lines on women, sometimes in front of their men, and it's like there's like a difference. Who the hell's James Thiel? But there's like a difference between that and cosplaying and and larping and interacting. Okay, I don't know if I'm making a lot of sense right now, but it's like she puts on a costume and she looks very approachable. She's walking around smiling, friendly, and next to her I'm just like this sort of rando Asian guy. And it's actually usually it's funny to me. It's funny to me when okay, here's the that's actually I hadn't thought about this. It's a weird thing. Like when that shit happens at a bar or a club or whatever, it I think it's kind of funny. Because it's like those guys like I can stand there right in front of them and watch them try to pick up my wife. She's showing them her wedding ring and she's standing there right next to a dude. That dude being me. And these dudes would roll up and I would just get to evaluate their game. It was hilarious to me, right? That's fun times. Like that is super funny to me. Um However, when the larpers were doing it, when the Ren Fair guys were doing it, and they were just sort of these just kind of like haven't showered, like terrifying, you know, I live in a van down by the river type thing. Like that's when we got genuinely creeped out because it's entirely relative, and I get that. Like like we're used to those stupid striped shirt, spiky hair chodes hitting on or you know just like some super super creepy dude uh rolling up and then using old English to say stupid shit to her. uh we're not used to that. And then there was always like the guys that think it's funny, they would go, they would come up to me and go, well, how much? How much for the woman? How much? Right? And it's hard to explain, but I do think I can tell the difference between a guy who is genuinely trying to like play a scene versus a guy that's just there because he's just using it as license to do shit like that, right? He's just using it as license to, uh, to try to troll or get under somebody's skin. And say what you will about it. I mean, it's sometimes I get that those were the times. Like if you're gonna be, in a if you're walking around a Ren fair, yeah. I mean, and certain women, especially the way my wife would. Are you going to give her eyeshadow? I don't think she doesn't have the kind of sculpted eyes that call for it, right? Like her eyes are pretty big and prominent, and she doesn't really have prominent eyelids. So I'm going to say no in this case. I don't think she needs it. I think we're gonna we're gonna give her. We're just gonna work up the skin, and I don't think she needs it. So we would get these weird interactions like that, and I would have to come up with RP sort of like LARPing ways of telling these dudes off, right? Um, you know, I would tell them shit like, they spent all their money. They spent all their money on cheap booze and ugly women, and were in no condition to handle a woman such as mine. I would say shit like that to them. I would tell them to stop embarrassing themselves in public. Um, and that usually gets them to just kind of back off. But it's stuff like that. It's those kinds of interactions that has made it like, well, LARPing is cool, but we don't want to be a part of it. Like we don't want to get involved in that. And and the other thing, and I don't know if this is a thing in all areas. Oh shoot, I don't know if this is a thing in all areas, but with a lot of these communities, there is definitely that sort of clique mentality, at least locally down here. In the steampunk community, there's the people who are important, the cool kids, so to speak. And then there's and then there's everybody else. There's sort of like there's like elitism, as there is in so many of these communities. And I'm not just singling out, the um, like the Ren Fair or steampunk communities. There's so many that sort of have that, like, we're the popular people, we demand special attention, we get a special place at the table, and everybody adores us. um, I don't know if you've ever run into that. Any of you guys have ever run into that, but we certainly have. And it's and normally I get to see all this stuff through my wife's eyes because they they usually want her to be a part of those, like the Uber clicks, um in these societies. And I'm usually, we tend to be pretty independent, and we're like, no, no thanks, man, we don't really do that. It's not really, we're not here to control the scene. Although you might argue that I kind of do that. I do something sort of like that in the local tabletop community, right? Because um, because I am involved in all the sort of group activities and planning stuff, hosting events. So I do kind of have at least some influence, some sway on what happens around here. But I wouldn't say that I'm part of any sort of ruling caste for tabletop. I would say that there definitely is a ruling caste for tabletop locally, um, but I would say that I'm not. I'm not in that. Um, there are they're just people that like try like they have to be elites or whatever, and so they kind of play for that. Hey, welcome back. And say what you want about it. That is what it is, and um, I've been subject to that too many times in tabletop, and it makes me sick. If I'm being honest with you, it does. It makes me um, it makes me angry. Troy Perez knows what I'm talking about. Uh, my various run-ins with these sort of tabletop elite, uh, and I have no qualms about telling them that they're shit and that they're not really a benefit to the community, and they're not and they're not important, and they're not worth all the hoopla that they seem to command. And those interactions have gotten me, I'll say, shunned by a lot of the elites. But even without that, even before that, it's been my sort of experience um, that's just a normal thing, man. Like when people get together, when you have a community of people, there's going to be people who use that community to kind of to prop themselves up. There's just going to be people who do that. And if those people find you to be valuable or useful, then they reach out to you and try to contact you, try to discuss, try to figure out how they can use um, what you are. But e- but before that, anytime before that, they won't give you the time of day. I even encountered that at work. It's crazy. So, and I'll give you an example from my work. Um, so at my work, I'm fairly unassuming, right? I'm fairly, um, you know, I'm usually running around in a company shirt and jeans. That's about as far as I go. Uh, and I usually mix it up with everybody. It doesn't really matter. I like to be kind of in the thick of it, right? And we have the sales admin girls. Okay, I'm gonna pick on the sales admin girls. The sales admin girls they're you know they're these young, you know some of them are quite attractive, but like young, like the pretty girls, and their job is to kind of take care of uh, the top salespeople and the executives and that kind of stuff, right? So they have like kind of an elevated sense of worth when they're dealing with people in corporate, because it's like, oh, I report to so and so. I'm so and so's secretary or whatever. Uh, so you had better listen to me, and I can drop that executive's name, and people have to do what I say, right? So it becomes a thing. And so not only that, but they don't want to interact with the lesser people. So they see me walking around and they kind of look down on me because it's like, oh, I'm not an executive. I'm not, I'm not dressed like a corporate employee most of the time. But then when it comes to like giant customer tours, or when we're trying to bring in a big client, that kind of thing, or when our PR people need to talk to representatives from technical, I'm usually at the top of that list company wide to push in front of people, right? I mean, that's if I'm ever going to brag about something I do well at work, it is that. It is my ability to kind of bridge a relatability, like a communication between technical and the customers, right? I can talk very technical, but I'm also extremely comfortable in front of customers. I don't care, like I'm not intimidated by speaking to large crowds. It's just something, like it's just a skill that I bring to the table that kind of sets me apart from other people in technical, right? So I'm normally pushed in front when these kinds of occasions occur, and because of that, because we have to, sales and executives are so happy, they're so grateful that they can use me for that. Then these admin chicks who normally they don't like to say hi to me, they don't want to talk, like they don't want anything to do with me. But when customers are around, when like the high profile people are around, then suddenly like they pretend to be like me. You hate the fact that you have to pretend to be nice to me because the customers like me. The customers want me around. And slowly, like over the years, they've had to invite me to stuff that technical never gets invited to. It's like, oh well, the clients want you here. They want to talk to they want you to attend their dinner, attend the luncheon. They want you to attend this. They want you to be part of this. And so they invite me to this shit and I hate it, right? So they have to be even nicer to me to get me to go to stuff like that, because otherwise I don't want to go. Like I don't want to waste my time on shit like that. It's just not, I don't know, I'm just not interested. The elite think they know everything about the game, or the elite ask you for a game and table you turn to and keep new players from getting into the not not really the elite in terms of like the skilled elite. But I don't know if you know this or not, or if anybody else notices this, but it's something I've noticed in tabletop communities, at conventions or that kind of thing. There's always this kind of cool kid table, you know usually um, the people that write for blogs, the people that are, say, more they're a lot more hipster than your average tabletop gamer, right? They've got like the dyed hair and the tattoo and avocado toast and all that other shit that I clown most of the time. But there's like a clique of them. There's a clique of these folks that and I've had to interact with them at times, and they really can't be bothered. Like they really can't be bothered um, to know who you are if you're not somebody um, if you're not somebody famous in the quote unquote tabletop world. I've noticed that. There's some people that just don't want to. They just don't want to mess with you. It's like, oh well, I know so and so from Geek and Sunday, and I know somebody from Nerdist, and and I work for this company. And they all run around together, and they're all kind of self-important, and I look at that shit like, man, I'm just here to run games. Like, I'm just here to play my games and enjoy my games, and that all that shit just sounds really weak to me. I'm not interested in it at all. Like, that doesn't do it for me at all, right? So, uh, and they don't like that. They won't associate with me if I come up and say hi to them. If I try to participate in some of the activities that they're in, it's like, ew, we're not going to talk to that guy. Ew, like that kind of thing. Um, and I don't know. I think it's just kind of sad. Like, it's not that, like, how's that going to be your claim to fame? Honestly, like, you do online reviews of games, right? And you have like 3,000 followers on Twitter, and so if you're going to do uh, Fancy Friday or something at Kingdom Con, then nobody's going to get to talk to you because you're above everybody here. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, that's kind of the attitude in some cases, and it's super shitty. I did that metal wrong. Let's. Actually, it could kind of work. It'll kind of work. But you guys can tell me if you think I'm talking out my ass. It's something I notice. I can sort of, I don't know. For me, I feel like I can kind of pick up on that when people are like, they can't be bothered. Like, they they consider you beneath them. And it's the weirdest thing for tabletop gaming. Like, like, of all the things that this is the hill you're gonna die on. Like, this is the hill where you're gonna be uh like better than other people. And the irony of it is they don't even play games. That's the easiest way to tell. That's the easiest way to tell who are the cool kids, who's the cool clique at your convention or at your tabletop meetup, is look for the people who are super self-important, they're super congratulatory, they brag about who they know, and all the shit that they've gotten credit for. But when it comes down to it, they're not there to play games. They don't enjoy games. They'll like look at games and go, and games are sort of, um, oh yeah, I know that. Oh, I know that game, right? We used to clown that shit all the time. The people that go, they would look at a game and go, oh, I know that game, just so that they can say that they know the game, not ever like, and then never really render an opinion on it. Just, oh, I know that game, and they'll see me setting it up, or they'll see people playing it. They do a little bit of cursory research, but it's almost like bragging about an indie band that you have a t-shirt for. That's what I remember when Malifaux was like that. I remember when the cool kids that played 40K or pretended to play 40K, whatever, however you want to say it. I remember when the cool kids used to see Malifaux and they would say, "Oh, I know that game," but they don't really know Malifaux. It was more of a like, "Yes, I'm familiar with this cool independent game," right? Oh yeah, I know that game. Um, and they did it. I remember the year they did it with Guild Ball. That we brought Guild Ball to Kingdom Con, and it was like, oh yeah, I know that game. And I was like, bitch, do you really know that game? Because you don't know that game. Okay, like it's it's the saddest thing in the world that's going to be your bragging right. You know that game when you don't know the game. That's super sad. You know what I mean? Like people don't go to lumber conventions, like logging conventions, and brag about, oh, I've heard of that lumber. You know what I mean? There's no hipster bragging right to that. But it's weird. It it's weird because it's like it happens, and like you're not supposed to care. Maybe the problem is mine. That like I know, because you know that the overwhelming majority of gamers that are at that same convention or whatever couldn't give two shits about the elite crowd. They really can't be fucked to know or be bothered with the elite crowd. It's like, so what? Okay, there's a bunch of people walking around self-important, but I still get to play Arena Rex, so I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? That's the absolute best attitude to have. That's the best attitude to have. Like, yeah, these pricks walking around, and they'll walk by your Arena Rex table and go, "Oh, I know that game," just so that they can say they know that game, but they have never played the game. In fact, they they didn't play most of the games that are at this convention. Um, they're just they're just there trying to be important or famous off of it, and that's like, wow, man. Like that's what you're gonna pick for your route to fame, says the guy streaming, right? But I would say there's a difference between hobbyists and gamers who use YouTube and social media to share their hobby. And so they're, in my opinion, they're hobbyists first, and then like sort of social media content makers second, right? I would consider myself that. I would say I'm a painter gamer first, and then but I'm a YouTube creator. For me, it's probably YouTube creator is probably like third or fourth, or I don't know, ninth on the list. It's just not uh, it's just not the priority. It's just not why I'm here. If YouTube were the main hobby, then shit, I would be doing something else. I'd be doing opinion videos. I'd be doing uh who knows, unboxing videos. Like if YouTube were the hobby, the main hobby, and it is for some of these people. YouTube is the main hobby for them, and uh, and you know, the wargaming hobby is secondary. And I have to point this out. I'm not criticizing that. If that's what you are, that's what you are, right? You're a YouTuber first, and then you're a gamer second. That's what you are. The problem I get, the problem I have with that is that there are people that use that use their ability to kind of master the YouTube following, and kind of do a better job of netting an audience, that they use it to kind of um, kind of feign expertise. That's where I have a problem, right? But it's definitely not unique to miniature gaming or YouTube or anything like that. I mean, if you think about, um, think about, I always rag on home improvement shows. But if you think about the the top home improvement celebrities that you can think of, those people aren't necessarily experts at those aspects of home improvement. They're adept people that really, their main skill set is being able, being a likable TV personality. It's more important. It's more important for you to be likable. If you're first and foremost a YouTube or Twitch creator, it's more important for you to have that, sort of likable, relatable personality than it is necessarily to be a subject matter expert on whatever it is you're covering, right? There are presenters. There are plenty of people on Twitch. I've seen uh, some super talented painters and hobbyists and that kind of stuff, and they have a teeny tiny little following. Like they have hardly any following. And then conversely, you'll see these guys that have like huge followings on Twitch, and but they're like, skill wise, painting wise, and experience wise, they're like not even close to what some of these other guys are. But they have like 10 times the following, and people trust their opinion more on stuff like hobby than they would somebody who's actually an expert on it. That's just the way things work, though, right? I mean, if the you can pick any subject and it's kind of like that. Even I've been watching a lot of like reptile care videos on YouTube because we got our crested geckos a month ago. So I was looking up reptile care videos, to do a bit of research and whatnot. And and the most popular channels were often the least informative of the channels. It was more like, "Hi, here's what I'm doing today, blah 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 blah." But then they would have these titles like "How to take care of your crested gecko," right? The title would be "How to take care of your crested gecko" by some famous YouTuber. And so you turn on the video, and for like the first 3 minutes, it would be like, "Hi, I'm shooting this in my garage because, as you guys know, and my car fixed the other day, and you have to just weed through 3 minutes of just absolute crap." Then they talk about their crested geckos, but they talk about it in terms of, "And what Sparky did the other day, and it's really cool." And you're like, can you just get to the part? Like, how do I feed the fucking crested gecko? Like, what should I expect with a hatchling crested gecko? And they never get to it. They'll never. You walk away with that from that video, and you'd be lucky. You'd be fortunate if like you learned 3 things from that video. you know. Um, And meanwhile, you have to look down your search function. You look down the search function, and it's like fourth, fifth, seventh one down. Some guy has got like 2,000 followers, like me. That's all I got. But in the crested gecko reptile world, that's not much. Um, and so you'll get to his video or her video, and there's a lot of, and then you start to actually get a lot of good information, and you're like, "Oh, okay, cool, this is what I wanted." I just, but this person isn't as entertaining, they're not as sparkling or whatever. So YouTube, so they're not blessed with a lot of views and a lot of subs, even though they're super reliable. Their information is really good. And then eventually, though, I've noticed that um then you have the people that truly have it both, that are entertaining to follow and watch, but they really know their stuff. And then ultimately that's the those are the people that you really kind of follow, and you put your view on. Um, with regards to crested geckos, I would say one of my absolute favorite channels for crested gecko info is a channel called Leopard Gecko, because it's a girl over in the UK, and uh, she keeps, I think her channel was mostly going to be for leopard geckos, but she also has crested geckos, and so she does a bunch of really informational videos on crested geckos. So I really like that. But then she has like 100 something thousand subscribers, which is sounds like a lot, and it's well deserved. But then you have like these other like pet celebs that are like rocking like 1 million subscribers, and it's more about them like posing and like making stupid faces and that kind of stuff next to their animals. And you'd be lucky if you learned like two things off of those channels. I don't even know what the hell we're talking about tonight. Like, what is the actual topic here? I'm just like all over the freaking place, but um, I don't know. Kind of along those lines, though. Like I was saying, I want to kind of broaden the the scope of topic that I cover here on YouTube, um, and kind of have more like conversational type stuff as content. So hopefully we'll see some more of that. Meanwhile, I think Honor's looking pretty cool so far. I don't know, is this like a pin or something on her chest there? I don't know what that is. Let's do some straps and that kind of stuff. So again, we're going with a Halloween theme. Get some of this, some of the black down. So I want to talk about like the kind of topics I want to talk about on the YouTube channel are they're going to be, tabletop gaming and gaming related. Um, some of them are just going to be kind of monologues where I go over my thoughts, my specific thoughts on a topic. Um, Others will be actually I want to do some recorded conversations with people. I would love to kind of host a I would love to host a show here like the old days where um, somebody else is kind of moderating the conversations, and you know and we're picking each other's brains on our thoughts on specific topics and that kind of thing. But I need a host. I would need a host, and I would be more of a co-host in this capacity, because I would be on screen here painting. We would do this on Google Hangouts, and I'd be on screen here painting, and there would be a topic and or a guest or something like that, and I would have a moderator or somebody kind of control, like directing traffic, guiding the conversation along. That's what I would need. Would love to have that. So I don't know if any of you guys want to be the host of Play It Painted Live, and you want to rein me in when I'm ranting or talking trash. Let me know, because that would be awesome. Actually, I would absolutely love that. And I do think that we could have some really interesting talks. I wanted to do the trash talking is the best part, right? Yeah. Not sparkling enough. Need more YouTuber crazy faces. What's up, Atomico? How you doing, man? That was like back in the day though for this channel, right? Like we had Jake here who could really keep a conversation moving and say kind of ridiculous shit, and we would laugh. We'd have a good laugh over it. But he was, we always had really good banter. We always had really good conversation, and I would pick the topic uh, like 30 seconds before we started the stream, and we're always able to just stay on our toes and stay relaxed and talk about stuff like that. So it was all pretty cool. So that's what I would need, really, is somebody capable of doing that kind of stuff. And look at all this. Wow. Oh man. Yeah, there's a lot of as there should be. There's a lot of metal back here. I just like that. I like having conversations. I want to have, like, one of the videos I really want to do is titled "I'm Not a Nerd Anymore and Here's Why." You know what I mean? Because that would sum up one of my core ethos, I guess, about myself and how I find myself in the modern nerd / pop culture, and how it isn't really, the terms have changed, and things have turned quite a bit, and where, I feel like, as an old school uh, like an old school nerd, an old school sort of outcast geek or whatever, which I strongly can identify with. We were used to being shunned by the mainstream. We're used to, but then, shunned and mocked, ridiculed, all that kind of stuff. But that's not really the point, as I see it. A lot of people, when they have this discussion, like, I'm not a nerd anymore, because a lot of people say, well, it's because um, you know, nerds were made fun of. And I was made fun of as a nerd. And now that everything is popular and mainstream, uh, I'm not made fun of anymore. And therefore, I'm not a nerd anymore. Therefore, no one is anymore, because it's just pop culture now. And that's a pretty good argument to make. And there's a lot of cogent points there. But that's not the argument I want to make. The argument I want to make is more around um, being fiercely independent, and being a true fanatic of something to your own detriment. You know what I mean? That's what I'm getting at. Like, nerds were people that stood out against the fandom. They liked what they wanted to like, despite being called perverts, devil worshippers, deviants, you name it. Right? They were called all of those things. We were called all of those things 30, 20, 10 years ago. We were called all of those things. You're a weirdo, you're a pervert, you could be a mass murderer, you worship the devil, you're a heathen, uh, you know, you're a deviant, right? We were called those things. But when we were called those things, it didn't change who we were. We were on the outside and we continued to be on the outside. The difference between nerd then and nerd now isn't solely that you were unfashionable and now the modern nerd is popular. It's not about that. That's not the, I guess I should say, that's not the only point that should be made. The point that can be made is that uh wow, we're just gonna, the point that can be made is that nerds were independent thinkers, and that nerds were clear to feel and think however and unapologetically unique, and often um, in stark contrast to what the majority thought, what the majority felt. That's a key thing for me, right? Nerds these days aren't allowed that. They're discouraged um, from independent thought. They're discouraged from breaking from groupthink. You know, if you talk about nerds these days, it's always about fandom. Fandom. Are you in the fandom? Or are you out of the fandom? Do you know the no? Do you not know the no? Do you like uh, do you like Star Trek? Do you like Star Wars? Do you know? Are you a true fan? Are you a true fan? Do you like uh, Doctor Who? Which one's your favorite Doctor Who? You better say the right one, because this is all about groupthink. This is all about us. This is all about us being together now, right? This I'm such a nerd. I'm such a nerd because I like Firefly. I'm such a nerd because I like things that everybody else likes. And if you don't like it, you're not a true nerd. You're not a true nerd. You're something else. You're Forget it, man. You're done. You're not a true nerd. You're not a true fan. Start over. Uh, and you better fall in line. You better agree with us, not just uh, not just in terms of our fandom, but you better agree with us politically. You better agree with us politically. If you're a true nerd, then it's what happened in the atheist community, atheism plus. It's like, okay, you're not just an atheist anymore. You need to be an atheist and a feminist. You need to be an atheist, a feminist, and you need to be uh, hyper progressive. And you need to be an atheist, a feminist, hyper progressive, intersectional, and they keep piling on, and you have to fall in line. You have to fall in line. You have to like, you know, you have to like Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, and Firefly. And I'm like, well, fuck that noise. I don't like I like what I like. I'm not going to apologize for it. If you think I'm weird for that, and you're going to shun me for that, well, that's what I'm going to fucking be, right? That's me. That's that's why I'm not a nerd anymore. I'm not a nerd anymore because nerds now are they're nerds are groupthink. Nerds are you have to like these things or else. You have to be nostalgic about the 80s or else. You know, honestly, being a nerd is being yourself. I think I think that's true in the sort of I think that's true in the in the moralistic way. And I think everybody wants to say that. Like everybody, oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, just be yourself. Yeah. And it's express yourself until you express something that they don't agree with. Just watch what happens. Watch what happens when all these so-called, accepting, tolerant nerds, when you fall out of line, it's a different story, man. When you fall in line, who did you vote for? If you voted for the wrong person, you're out of line. We're not gonna. You're not in our. You're not in our Star Wars club anymore because you voted for the wrong person. You can't be in our DC chat room anymore because you didn't agree with us on this one issue. You know what I mean? This is why I can't be a nerd anymore. Nerds never did that to each other. They never did that to each other. That was the whole point of being a nerd. When you went into a comic shop in the 80s and even the 90s, you knew what territory you were going in. You were going in there and everybody in there had something strong, like deeply in common with you. They all in that you were all being judged for being in there. You were all being ridiculed for being in there. And the nerds that were in there were what? They were everything. They were every color, every creed, every class, every background. And they didn't every political affiliation. When you were a nerd in the 90s and you walked into a comic book shop, no one cared if you were a Democrat or a Republican. No one gave a shit about that. And they weren't going to kick you out of their club for being that. They wanted they found common ground with you. Dude, we both like Space Ghost. We both like Space Ghost. That's awesome. Let's let's hang out and talk about Space Ghost. But we have so many other things that are different about you and me. And we're going to discover those things in time, but we're going to learn to appreciate each other for them. You know? That that's what's different. That's what's different today versus then. Is you can't do that shit today. There's too many fall in line moments. There's too much groupthink. There's too much, there's too much elitism in nerddom. It's the same. In fact, all of the social mechanics of nerddom are identical to the shit that we were rebelling against 10 years ago. It's all the same. People are pulling that elitism on each other. They're pulling that classism, bigotry. They're pulling, but it's so messed up because it's like, in the name of tolerance, in the name of acceptance, we're going to exclude you. You know what I mean? We're in the name of us being more tolerant, we're going to be intolerant of your attitude, of your personal experiences, of your personal preferences and your beliefs because they don't fall in line with ours. That's like that's what's fucking wrong. That's what's wrong with nerddom today, and that's why I'm not a nerd. That's why I won't. I don't think I'll ever be one ever again, because because the whole thing has been co-opted. The whole thing has been co-opted into this is popular culture, and if you don't fall in line with popular culture, then you're not this anymore. You're not the Big Bang Theory anymore. You know what I mean? That's my central point, and that's why when people say you're a nerd, I'm like, no, I'm not. I haven't watched the latest Avengers movie. I think Firefly is overrated. Doctor Who is a dumb show and will always be one to me. And I say shit like this and it just triggers them. Absolutely right. I'm not one, and I'll never be one again. Um, because that's the attitude. That's the attitude. You can't critique anything anymore. You can't critique the remakes that they're making anymore. You can't say that because everybody, they can't go another second without without telling you're a bigot or you're a homophobe or you're prejudiced or you're alt-right. That's the funniest one now. Is anybody who doesn't agree, you're alt-right. You're just automatically alt-right. And if the alt-right uses the OK symbol, then you can't use the OK symbol. No one's allowed to use the OK symbol. If the alt-right uses Pepe, you can't use Pepe. No one's allowed to use Pepe anymore. No. And why would you give white supremacists that much power, dude? What you've given them the ability to write the rules because they can pick milk and say, "Oh yeah, we like drinking milk because it's white and pure," and suddenly drinking milk becomes racist. Like, how much more power can you give them? If they're just everything they do is verboten now because the white supremacy. Oh well, yeah, can't do it. White supremacists do it. Like, dude, that's you're giving them more power than you know that whole and the anniversary of Charlottesville happened, right? I know I'm not supposed to be talking about this shit on YouTube. I don't care. I mean, they throw me off YouTube, whatever. I know that day's coming anyway. But anniversary of Charlottesville, right? And sure enough, your buddies Antifa show up and they start making beef with the cops because they're not even they're the Patriot Rally or whatever didn't even, or the Unite the Right, whatever you call it, I don't know what that thing is. That didn't even happen in Charlottesville this year. It happened in DC, and instead you now have the Black Bloc Antifa, the anti-fascists. You have them attacking the media, attacking police, and how much more power are you trying to give the white supremacists by doing stupid shit like that? And it is stupid shit. Like why? When you do that, you're giving your enemies more power. When you regulate your actions and your behaviors around what they do, then they're the ones in control, you dumbass. Like, that's I'll never understand it personally, but hey, whatever. But yeah, anyways, I know I've veered off course there, but it's true. That's why I'll never be a nerd again, because it's my foundational attitude is incorrect. I'm not going to fall in line. I'm not going to just agree with you. I'm not going to fall in line. I'm not going to agree with you. I'm not going to not criticize stuff when I think it's bad. Yeah, each word. Yeah, happens, man. Happens. I remember this color notoriously does not hide, so I have to do this a few times. But yeah. So say what you will, but that's decided to codify a specific set of beliefs and a specific set of opinions. And I don't subscribe to that at all. So that's why I'll never be one. I'll never be one again. You made like downer villain one speech. Oh man. That's what happens. I don't have my weeb music on, man. I gotta just say horrible shit. I got another call from a campaigner. That's been like my hobby recently. Is these campaign people call. They call me, my cell phone, they text me. They want to know my opinion. And like, you sure you want to know my opinion? I tell people like, you shouldn't ask my opinion. If I like you, if I like you and I want to be gentle, I'll never tell you my opinion. But if you force me into a corner and try to get my opinion, you're going to get my opinion. You're really going to get my opinion. You're going to get my real honest to God opinion, and you will wish that you've never asked for my opinion. Like, never ask my actual. If you ask my opinion and I say, nah, no thanks, man, that means I kind of like you. It means like, yeah, I don't want to engage. Let's not do that. But if you force me to say my opinion, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get exactly what you asked for. It's not gonna be to your liking. It's not gonna end well for you. Okay, you're gonna never ask my opinion on anything. um, so I have these like campaigners that call me every evening, like after dinner. They call me. Like I'm at home trying to enjoy my time off work, just sitting there with my kids, peaceful, right? They call me, and then when you call me, you're on my time, right? You just took my time away, so it gets to guess whose time it gets to be. It gets to be my time. I get to be. We get to. It gets to be the Octave show because you've called me. You've invaded on my territory. You're stepping on my turf, right? We're gonna talk the shit I want to talk. And sure enough, tonight, you know, somebody was campaigning for, I don't know, what is her name, Katie Hopkins or some shit, some local congresswoman or whatever. I think she's a Democrat or whatever, right? And so they called, they asked for me, like the guy asked for me like in that familiar tone, like I know who I'm talking to, like this guy knows me, like we're gonna have a heart to heart, like a couple friends or whatever. So he calls and he asks for me, and I'm like, hey, what's up, man? What's going on? Because I know this call. I already know what this is about. I saw the number come in, right? I'm gonna get, he's gonna get 10 minutes, and I'm gonna get 10 minutes worth of entertainment when this shit comes in. So he calls and he says, hey, can we rely on your vote as a Democrat for this? And I'm like, and I stopped him and I said, hey, man, what made you think I was a Democrat? He's like, well, on the last poll, you said decline to say. And I'm like, oh, really? Really? You mean you mean I marked independent, not decline to say? What kind of profiling are you using to say that I'm a Democrat? Is it what? Is it because of my race? Because you guys have data on my race that you're going to make assumptions on what political affiliations I have? Uh, well, no, sorry, sir. Just, we think. Oh, I see. Yeah. So you guys are profiling. Yeah, that's not racist at all, dude. Don't worry about it. Hey, no issue at all there, buddy. Well, can we rely on your vote for? And I went off on this dude. Uh, and I said, first off, you start off with this racist premise that I have to be a Democrat. Well, Republican. I'm like, well, okay, there's mistake number two. You think that because I'm not a Democrat, that I'm automatically a Republican. It's your stupid fucking groupthink that causes people to think like, that you oversimplify and you boil issues down to one or the other. There's always a binary. You're either a white supremacist or or you're Black Lives Matter. There's no in between with people like that. And, do you agree with the direction your country going? And I'm like, no, because people like you keep forcing divisive discussion down when really you need to be more open-minded and you need to look at issues separately, clearly and logically. But you can't. You can't because you're fucking tribalist. You're fucking groupthink. Like, you need to calm the fuck down. And so he kept asking me. And I'm like, yeah, I know who this bitch is. She sent me a text not to listen to her opponent. I'm like, what kind of high school bullshit is that? Right? In high school, you would get notes like that. Don't listen to Trisha because she's spreading false shit about me. I'm like, that's some high school shit. If there's any like immature tactic that would turn me off to your candidate any faster, that would be it. Sending me these texts like, you need to stop listening because she's full of lies and all this other shit. Like, fuck you, man. Like, I'm not in high school, right? And well, this person, and then he fed me some shit like, yeah, this Democrat's looking out for the middle class. I'm like, how? Name one thing. Well, they're gonna reduce the cost. Oh, so they're gonna try to save me money here and then ask me for more money next year. Because name a year that hasn't happened. Name one measure that your party has passed that saved money, that made them actually return some of that money to the tax-paying body. Name one. Name one. And this guy was freaking out, man. Like, he was pissed. I could tell I pissed him off. And he's like, well, the Republicans do that shit. I'm like, yeah, they do it too. They're a big party. They're a big government party too. Like, again, you keep thinking it's one or the other, and I'm independent in these matters. So you need to like get your argument straight because you're sinking bad, and this is embarrassing for you. so so I like those conversations. They're good. They feel good. They're they have. I have those people want to come. They want to take my time. They want to take up 10, 15 minutes of my evening. And if you're going to take 10 to 15 minutes of my evening, I'm going to make sure I get value out of it, right? I'm going to make sure I get entertainment, that I get you get the quote unquote truth that you were so desperate to hear my opinion 2 minutes ago. And now you can't wait to get off this phone call with me because now you have my opinion and it's not what you were hoping. And it's worse than you were hoping. It's not even a vote for your opponent. It's just a general disdain for you and everything that you stand for. So I like it. I like election season, man. Like, keep calling. I missed my landline. I missed it. I gotta be honest with you. Now that we have the landline back, and telemarketers and people want my time in the evening, it's such great entertainment. I'm sorry. If you think that makes me a bad person, I'm sorry. I got to entertain myself somehow, right? I got to, throughout the day, you lose hours to your work. You lose hours to having to listen to people that you don't necessarily want to listen to. And finally, somebody claims to want to listen to you. So make them listen to you. That's my advice. Somebody wants your opinion, make sure you give it to them. But like, make sure that they'll never want it again. You have to. You got. You gotta have some fun, man. You gotta have some fun. My next one that I'm planning, because they're calling every night. So the next one, I think I'm gonna pretend to be swayed. I think that's funnier because, again, they think they're getting what they want. I can't wait. We may have to start recording these. My wife says that we should record my interactions with people that bug me on the phone like that. That we need to just record that shit. Oh man. Any illusions about me being a good person might have changed during this feed. But hey, sorry, not sorry, though. It's true. I'm very, very, very protective of my time, and time away from family is extremely important to me. And if I'm going to give you time, well, in this case, you took time. You took my time. I didn't give it to you. I didn't volunteer. Like, I didn't offer you my time. In fact, I almost never offer people my time, but people love to try to take it. So you're gonna try to take my time. Well, you're gonna have to deal, man. So quiet. Meanwhile, she looking all right. I like her dog. Her dog. It's more of like a dingo type color I got here. Let's hope I didn't scare you guys too much with my little speech here. True though, man. Like, people gonna take your time. People, nobody actually wants your opinion. That's like one of the biggest fallacies of all time. Very few people in your life genuinely want your opinion, because if you gave out your actual opinion, most of the time you're going to end up with what was the saying? How's the saying go? A man who only tells the truth has no friends, right? A man who speaks only the truth has no friends. And I think that is absolutely 100% correct. Uh, all right, let's finish her up here. I think she's pretty cool. There's just little bits here and there we can work on. For the most part, it's looking done for the most part. I'm gonna hit this, and the Doge will be this. We'll get that ink glaze as well. But yeah, it's like when people call you, they say they butter you up, right? They say you're so smart, you're so insightful. I can't. I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts on this, right? Nah, that's a lie. When people say they think you're smart and they think you're insightful, what they really mean is they think that you will agree with them. They think you will agree with them. Not It almost has nothing to do with their assessment of your intelligence. It has everything to do with um, who are these people who accosted you? It's those damn upholsters and the pollsters and you know those poll marketing and research firms and all that kind of shit. People that quote unquote want your opinion. So, right? Rule one: when people want your opinion, they don't want your opinion. They want you to agree with them. When they tell you that they think you're smart or insightful, it's code for I think you'll agree with me. And I challenge you guys uh, to challenge my notion here. I'm not talking about your really really close friends or your partners. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about most of the people in your life that they'll come up to you and they'll say, "We want to hear from you. We want to hear what you have to say." No, they don't. Trust me when I say they don't. And the only way to make them go away is to give them what they want. And you give them what they want, and you make sure that they never want it again. That's how you get rid of people. And I figured that out with salespeople and telemarketers and all that kind of shit a long time ago. And unfortunately, like, yes, I'm right, but unfortunately, that takes my entertainment away. You know what I mean? One by one, when I had my old landline, one by one they were stopping. They were stop calling. They just shit. Uh, Apparently, I know that the cable company and some other people keep a file on me. Like, oh God, don't call him. He's gonna like he's gonna drag you down this rabbit hole, and you're his captive audience. It's crazy. That's crazy. Did you know that? I mean, when people call you, most of those companies that have employed them um, make it forbidden for them to hang up on you. So they are your captive audience. Like do you do get to tell them what's up. It's messed up. Look, no one listens to what I say in the first place. I just think that that's a message that gets lost all too often. And it's an important one. It's an important lesson that to say that look, people don't honestly care what you have to say. Nobody really likes your opinion unless you agree with them. That's just how it's gonna be, man. And I was saying to the guy tonight, I'm like, you think that your candidate honestly gives a shit about me or you? Do you honestly think that? Like you have a lot to learn about government and governing if you really think that the people that you elect into to federal office give two shits about you. Like two shits is a really, really hefty price to pay for you. They don't want to pay it. They don't want to pay two shits for you. They do not like you. They do not care about you. They do not care about your interests. They want your silence and your money and your vote. That's it. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you will understand how to deal with elected officials. The sooner you'll understand how to, in my opinion, how to properly regard the government. It's like that's like step one. They don't give a shit about you. That's you need to know that like right out of the gate. It's so weird seeing honor in like regular metal armor. Don't look right. Don't look right. I like it though. I mean, it looks kind of cool. I gotta figure out. Maybe I should try to record the next one because I think that would be fun. It would be fun to upload stuff like that. You know, kind of like the reverse jerky boys, right? But just like because it's like I've been doing this has been a hobby of mine for many years, at least 10 years. Is messing with telemarketers, people that call me. I don't know why. It just became a thing for me. Like yeah, must had to have been about 10 years ago when I had enough and decided I was going to make those calls entertaining for me. All right, so here we go. Vet honor. I want to glue a tuft down. Wait, actually, what I need to do before we do that, so I'm going to do another coat of this Beastie Brown. I'm running out of relevant vet guild ball models to paint. Oh gosh, it's almost midnight. Shit. Better get to bed. Spent too much time screwing around here. But we got honor done. So I'll be able to field her the next time I decide I want to play some farmers again. All right. That's pretty good. All right. So there we have it. That's honor and her momentous doge. All I do with the lid to the. Let's do that. So from here on, it's just going to be the guild ball side of it. Anyways, is just going to be kind of fun painting for a while. You know, not really trying to hit a specific deadline or anything like that. I think she needs a tuft. Do you think so or no? Maybe she doesn't. It's kind of good with that one. We still like you, Honor. She looked fine. Yeah. She's cool though. The facial expression is weird. She looks kind of puffy and a little bit angry. I guess you would be too. Like if you were like the first lady at Guild Ball and then like the hunters came and ruined your career because Obulus told them to. I think you'd be upset too. So anyway, I know we got awful ranty tonight, but hey, we learned some awful truths. And please mess with people that call you. Please do that. Like make it a thing. Let's make that a thing. People are taking your time away from the people that really matter to you. So make it entertaining. Tell them the truth. Tell them the raw, brutal, honest, awful truth. And make sure that they're listening. Because it's the only time a stranger's ever going to listen to you. Wow, it's dark. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Want to thank everyone for watching. Have a good night, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.